Welcome back. Day number 3 of our Olympic coverage. I'm here again with Antonio Cozzolino, and we are going to be discussing the Olympic sailing, the Olympic racing, what's been going on. Now, I'm going to warn you, for anyone who's not tuned in yet, don't get your hopes up for glorious, amazing footage from the helicopter and GPS, tracking and speeds, because we literally have no footage, nothing. We cannot get anything, which is disgraceful, I think, personally. So like I've had a couple of rants about it already. So you're not the only one. If you are out there looking for coverage and like, oh, I found some, this is basically us doing a podcast. We're going to talk through the results. We're going to, have a talk about the movers and shakers. We have had some special guests in this week. We've had a gold medalist. We've had a double gold medalist. But today, you've just got us two.
Which good yarns is all you get today.
Hey?
Good yarns is all they get today.
Yeah, exactly. You just get to hear us chatting. But you guys at home can get involved. You can leave some comments and we will put them on the screens for you to have a look at, and we will maybe discuss a few of those comments. So if you do have any questions about Olympic racing, what's been going on, you want to get a shout out or whatever, just drop it in whichever comments you're watching, YouTube or Facebook. Right. So who has had a good day on day 3? Because day 3, I have to say, was a good day on the water. A lot of wind from what we've seen this week. It looked like, to me, the windiest day so far. On the websites, I've been seeing 14, 16 knots, I would say. So it looked like full planing weather. And we did have some big movers today. Standout rider from the day today has to be that girl on your screens right now, Emma Wilson. Would have had, and I say would have had, which we're going to go into in a minute, 3 bullets. It was an exceptional day. But a little bit of a but. In the last race, she was over the line early. Now, I didn't know she won the last race. Antonio actually just told me when we went back through and they don't get told they're over the line until they finish, which must be just devastating. But still, she is leading the competition on the penultimate day of racing. I say penultimate day because there is one more day of racing, and then there's obviously the medal race, which we're going to go into in a bit, because anyone who doesn't know what a medal race is, it is a bit different to normal racing that you're used to seeing on the PWA and all this sort of stuff. Any other big movers today, Antonio? Who have you been looking at?
No, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. Emma on the women's side, and obviously Kieran on the men's side has kind of really thrown the gauntlet down. The woman, I would say Shu as well had a really, really good day, the Chinese sailor. Like we discussed earlier, those top 3 are really like extending from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go over the results, because I know we've got a few pictures, we've got a few slideshows. That's about all we got to give you. But we're going to just have a look at the results, because I would say actually certain countries had a good day today. So the Chinese had an amazing day. The Brits, both Brits, actually, Emma Wilson killed it, but Tom Squires had a really good day. I'm just going to stick these results on just so we can see them. This is the men's, yeah. So in the men's, you can see there, obviously, solid day for Kieran Badlow. We discussed him yesterday. He got that disqualification. It was kind of a needless one. He didn't need it. He would have probably done his turns and got 3 points in hindsight. It's easy. But without that, he would be looking very, very good. With it, he's looking good. He's got 26 points. The guy in second place, the Italian, has 34. So he's got an 8-point lead, but he does have that disqualification in race 5 hanging over him. In the Olympic sailing, there's only one discard, which means you can get rid of that race. It won't count. But whatever result he does now, if he was to get over the line early, if he was to find himself in more trouble, if he was to break some equipment, he would then probably be counting another last place, and it would be a disaster. So although he's sitting in first place, although he's looking good, it's nervous times. Like, all the Dutch supporters will be going, okay, we feel confident, because we will go on to how the wind is looking tomorrow. It looks like another windy day, almost windier, which should play into Kieran's hands, but he cannot afford one mistake. And 3 races could be tricky. So Matteo Camboni, the Italian, not such a good day for him today. You know, okay, it was average, but when you're going for that medal, you're going for the gold medal, an 8, a 13, and a 4, it's not good enough. You know, he's slipped away, and Kieran's got away from him. Pretty okay day for Thomas Goya. I think he would have wanted better. It started off with a 3rd, looking good, then 6 and a 7. Really good day for Miška, the Polish rider. He's got a lot of experience, and he's got a very solid day. 5, 2, 5. And then, as I said, Tom Squires, he really came good today. 4th in the first one, won the second one, and just slipped a bit back in the last one, finishing 8th. But he's moved up into 5th place. So he's looking pretty good. It's tight behind that. Israeli. And then the Chinese had the best day out of anyone, but he's left it a little bit too late. Is it too late? There's still 3 races and the medal race. So he has got a chance, maybe, the way he's sailing. 1st, 3rd, and a 2nd. Easily the best day on the water.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be regretting that silly incident with the young Norwegian Andre now. Because if you didn't listen the other day, the 2 of them had separate incidents in that race, and both protested each other, meaning that they both got disqualified. And they had a little negotiation on the beach beforehand, but they couldn't agree to not take it to the protest room. So they are both paying the price for that now. That's going to be costly. It's going to be costly for both riders. They both got disqualified, but especially for Kumbi. I mean, geez. Yeah. Disqualification. Without that, he would have 8 points better. Another windy day tomorrow. He'd be right up in medal contention. He still might be, but he's going to always look back at that at the end of the week and maybe add those 8 points or whatever it is he's missed out on and go, you know, it could be the difference between medaling and not. So just goes to show you've got to get your stuff together. So I mean, that's how the men is sitting at the moment. In the women's, as I said, amazing day on the water for Emma Wilson. She has had a stormer of a regatta. If you were ever going to put a competition together, that's a pretty solid result. She's sitting on 22 points, but obviously she got over the line early in the last one, which from looking at the stats, it looks like she won the race, but obviously it's not going to count. So 22 points, but the Chinese, another solid day for Lu or Shu. 4-2-1. She's 1 point behind Emma Wilson, but she also has that 25th place, which she got in the second race. So those two have got this kind of really disastrous result hanging over them. Any mistakes will cost them lots of points, because if they get a 10th, a 13th, a 17th, they will count every single point. Whereas Charlene, the French, in 3rd place, her worst result so far is a 9th. So if she was to get a 17th or a PMS, she would just count the 9th place, and that is big. But yeah, absolutely. And that's what Tom said on the first day, is it's sometimes quite crucial to look at the total points rather than the net points. So if you look at her total points, she's on 34, which is miles better than 48 or 50. So yeah. So basically, we're looking at the Brit, the Chinese cannot afford any mistakes in that women's RSX class. They have to keep it together. But then you look at their other results, and they are very solid, easy top 10 riders. On their worst race, they haven't been outside the top 10. So then you kind of gives you a bit of confidence. But like I said, in racing, anything can happen. Plenty of wind tomorrow might make it more consistent. So we will have to see that. But then you kind of feel they're the medals. You know, barring anyone getting a disaster in that top 3, it looks like those medals might already be between those 3 riders. And this is where I'm going to talk about the medal race. So for anyone who doesn't know, the medal race comes at the end of a regatta in the Olympics now, and it is to make it interesting. It's to give the Olympic public what they want, which is they want one race to almost decide a competition. But as we know in sailing, one race shouldn't decide the fate of someone who's raced for 5 years, and it comes down to one race. So what it is, the Olympic Committee have decided that it's basically a double points race. So you race all the 12 races, which are scheduled. We've done 9 so far, so 12 races scheduled. Then you will carry those points over into the medal race. So obviously the guy, the girl, or the guy who's winning, if they've got a 10-point lead, they will go into that medal race 10 points ahead. So with double points,
if they were to finish 5th and the other guy to win, it's going to get closer, you know, and that is where it's going to be very interesting. So that medal race, especially with the close people, like we're looking in the women, there's only 2 points, 3 points separating the top 3 in the medal race. You know, 4 points is just 2 places. It's nothing. It's nothing. So,
and it's a tiebreaker as well, so that's important too.
Okay, so whoever finishes ahead of who in the medal race, that will be how it's decided.
Yep.
So there you go. That is pretty much how it's sitting. So it is really hotting up, I have to say. I'm going to put some just pictures on just so you can get an idea of the conditions we've had today. I've got a few comments coming in. Den Windsurfing, it's disappointing, been over the line yet, for sure. I mean, it's gutting to not know until you've crossed the finish line. I mean, that must be heartbreaking. You think you've got 3 bullets in a row and then you must, oh, I don't know. I don't think
it would be a very pleasant feeling, for sure not. Especially not at the Olympics, near the end of the business end of the regatta. I think,
Yeah. Okay. We've got, so what's this? I paid a monthly Euro Sports subscription today just to find out there was no coverage today. Tell me about it. I actually got up early this morning to watch it. I ended up watching the 470s going around the course.
Yeah.
Quite quick, actually. I was quite surprised, but I was pretty disappointed because I'm watching the tracker, watching the Brits killing it, and I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I know. But it was that Ace the Fries, whoever that is. Some consolation, tomorrow morning, well, they're racing in Japan local time 3 p.m., which means in the UK it'll be 7 a.m. And they're racing on the Kamakura course, which is the inside course, and that will be televised. So we should at least see 2 races tomorrow. And it'll be very shifty because it's on the inside. Well, could be. Well, it's onshore, isn't it, tomorrow? So maybe it won't be so shifty, but
should get some waves. Like there should be some quite interesting racing tomorrow. And who is that going to benefit? Who's going well in the wind? Well, pretty much we just got to look at the results from today. You know, because it was a windy day today, and we saw Emma Wilson from the UK killing it, like really on it. Xu from China killing it in the women. Charlene as well from France, all look really consistent. You've got to say, Lillian de Groot had a really solid day today. You know, nothing crazy, but 3-4-4. But the rest of the pack ahead of her got away from her. And, you know, this is the Olympics. You're going for a medal. You need to be getting bullets. You need to be getting at least second places to try and eke out those little points. So I would say we're going to see pretty similar results today, unless something drastic happens, but it looks a very similar forecast. And I would say in the men, well, the Chinese, he can be. I don't know much about him, but he's obviously good in the breeze. 1, 3, and a 2. It's Antonio.
Yeah, he's a pretty big lad, and he's always been very good when it's windy. I mean, he's good all round, but especially in the breeze, he'll do well. I mean, tomorrow, like you said earlier, we might have a little bit more wind. And so there might be a bit more wave, a bit more swell because it's been windy from that direction for a longer period, closer to shore. But, you know, all of the people who did well today will also be good tomorrow. So like you say, we shouldn't expect too much different. I mean, on the girls' side, like Marta and Lillian, also very good in those conditions. But if the top 3 girls keep getting 1s and 2s, not much will change. So, and that's the difference here at the Games is there's only one person from each country, and the fleet's small. So we've got, 25 men, 27 women. You're not, at a world championship where you have 120 and 60 in each fleet. If someone has a bad race, they could have a 30. You've got a lot of points that you're putting in there. But here, it's much more condensed. So there's just not that opportunity.
Yeah. So I've got the forecast on the screen at the moment. So today, I think was forecasting 16-18 on WindGuru. We're just using the same forecast every day so we can get some sort of comparison. Tomorrow, it's breezy. It's up in the red. We got 2 stars. It looks breezy. There's a bit of swell running. I mean, this could be a real interesting day and a great day to be televised. But then what my eyes are diverted to is Saturday for the medal race.
Yeah.
That doesn't look so nice. What we might have is the guys that are good in the breeze going into that medal race with a bit of a lead, but we might see that change around where we see more specialists who can hang on in the breeze. I mean, they're all good in most conditions. Let's be honest, but some have specific things where they're a little bit better. Kieran looks like he's liking the breeze. You know, the Chinese Kumbi looks like he likes the breeze. Tom Squires, I mean, looks like he's going well in the breeze. And Mishka from Poland, he's looking pretty solid. Thomas Goya, you know, they're all in that mix, that top 5. And tomorrow will decide quite a lot going into that medal race. I'm kind of excited to see how they're all stacked up. It's an interesting one. What we got? We got Mark.
Interesting, stressful for me, but interesting.
It's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, like, because for me, well, we got Emma Wilson from GB because we are biased here. I'm from Great Britain. I want the Brits to do well. So Emma Wilson leading, but super close. But then Tom Squires has kind of not been mentioned coming into this. And there's definitely an outside chance for a medal when you look at those 3 windy races tomorrow and looking what happened today. He could definitely get himself in contention. The Italian didn't have a good day today. He could definitely drop a bit further back. You know, Thomas didn't have a great day today. If Tom was to get it together, put some more firsts and seconds like he's been getting, he could really challenge. And I think when I've been part of a team that's been doing well, when I was part of the youth team, you got Ainsley and these other guys going for gold medals, you get dragged along. You know, you kind of think, well, they're all doing well. I need to step up, and something just drags you to perform better, in my experience anyway. So, and he will know now he's getting confidence. He's won a race at the Olympics. There's not many people that can say they've won a race at the Olympics. Pretty sick, man. Really good to see. Mark Carolan, in the medal race, is a first 1 or 2 points? A first is 2 points as far as I know.
Yeah, 2 points.
Yeah. So it's not like the 0.7 that we used to seeing in other competitions. First is 1 and second is 2. So in the medal race is 2, 4 and so on and so on. If it's a tie, like Antonio was saying before, it's whoever beat who in the medal race which will decide that tie. So it's nice and clean. Although the last one I watched, which was Rio, the girls' race, the women's race, I should say, was just nobody knew who had won. Everyone's looking at each other. Everyone was counting the results and trying to work it all out. So it wasn't what they'd hoped for. When I think when they decided this, they thought, oh, it'd be nice and clean and easy. And then you've got people like Dorian, who's already won going into the medal race. So it's interesting. Right, let's have a look at the comments. What's this one? We've got Mohammed saying the American showed some good results. They did, actually. I don't know much about the American.
Yeah, Mohammed is actually a former RSX sailor himself. Egyptian who lives in the United States. So he did a few Olympic campaigns. So hello to Mohammed. American going good today. Doug, can you do live commentary stream when the medal race happens? The plan is, I got up early today to see, like, kind of test it out and feel how it could be done. And if you listen to the last stream, sorry for repeating ourselves, but we're going to try and do a watch along. Whether it's actual full-blown commentary or we're just here like this, we've got the race on and we're chatting a bit, rather than the, okay, he's coming in. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work yet, but I'm definitely think we should do a watch along. Yeah. Gather all the windsurfers who want to, watch it together, and at least you guys can comment. You can hear some thoughts. I think we might be getting Dorian back. Does that? Yep. Yeah, we'll have Dorian back. Assuming it's right. Yeah, we'll have Dorian back. We have a suggestion actually in the comments that if we could have the tracker overlay live streaming while we watch the video stream. And commentate over that. So that's actually a good idea. I'd say we probably won't get banned for that. No,
I should hope not. I should hope not. You never know with this Olympic. Can I rant again? Can I just I was talking about it with someone today, and it just killing me. Like, it really is. It's the Olympics is just such a missed opportunity for a lot of these minorities, like sports where they get a little bit. They just get a little bit of coverage, but it's not the full-blown coverage. We're getting worse coverage of this Olympic event than we get on a normal World Championships or a normal PWA event. And it feels criminal. They should be at least giving it to the small sports to let them do what they want with it, to help promote the sport. Because how many people have we seen in the comments? How many messages have I had saying, Ben, I can't find the windsurfing action. How do I get it? And if people are having to try that hard and message people, there's something wrong. Like, I was trying to watch the surfing. I went to the WSL. It's not there. It's like, it's just like, it should be in the normal places. You should be able to enjoy what's going on, or you should give it to the class to at least do their own live stream where you can, you know, when they do the live stream, it's amazing. They've got all the graphics, they've got all the stuff. But like I said, I got up today, nothing. Yeah. Just a tracker.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it's just a question of the money makes the world go round, you know, because the majority of the funding that the Olympic Committee gets is from the TV rights and the broadcasting rights of all of the sports. And so they like viciously protect that, like we've discussed offline. And that means, like you say, the minor sports suffer because we just don't have access to all of that content. And it's all behind, you know, Eurosport paywalls and, you know.
But the thing is, like, my theory is, like, this windsurfing, how many of the viewers would they lose if we had our own little one? I don't think they would lose that many because we're not that many people, but the experience would be better.
Absolutely.
And you could still pay, let's say Eurosport provided us with the footage. You could still, everyone could chip in, like people are chipping in anyway. So I don't know. I think there's definitely a better way.
It's just, I think you mentioned this the other day. It's a one size fits all mold and it just doesn't work for us. Because, you know, the fact that the footage is so poor and the access to it is so poor and that the commentary is not tailored enough means that the experience is worse, which also means that people who are not familiar with the sport are not that interested in it. Because even us, as interested people, we look at that broadcast and we say, well, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't know people are racing, I wouldn't want to be watching this. It's not interesting.
No, it's true. And that's what's disappointing as someone who follows the sport avidly and is involved in it, and you watch it and you're like, this is not a good experience. It's like, we want to be promoted better. Like, this is the Olympics. It's anyway, well, we won't keep ranting on because we've done a few rants. We've got great news looking forward. Heavy boys and girls in the advantage in the wave conditions. Well, yeah, I think there's usually guys in every class that are good when it gets windy. There's some that are good when it's light, and there's good all-rounders. You know, that's how it is. And if you look at the results today, you will see pretty much the guys that are going well in the breeze over there, because certain sea states obviously suit different people. Some people like it flat, like a real, you know, fast racetrack where it's just bang in a corner. Some people like it shifty and tactical. Some people like it swelly. So I would just look at today's results and be thinking that could be a very similar outcome tomorrow, unless someone really steps up the game, you know. And the Olympics can make people step up the game. It has definitely a way to do that. No, that is a good question, actually. Revolt, can you discard the medal race? No, the medal race is it. So all you would do is carry your points forward. You go into that medal race. Everyone, you know, the top person's obviously got an advantage of so many points and goes down. And then the medal race is the final race. And after those results are done, that's it. It's done. What else have we got? Messages coming through. What are the chances?
Limit. So typically there's not really, I mean, in the class rules, it's up to 35 knots. In practice, you know, if it's still safe to race and they can set the marks and they can get people off the beach, generally you're going to be racing. So, I mean, we've raced in more than 35 before. An interesting weather limit, which is in place at this competition, which is not a normal thing, is the temperature. We actually haven't talked about this at all. And it hasn't come close to this in the last few days, so it hasn't been an issue. But there has been a maximum temperature of 32 degrees. So I think on day one they had 31. And so if it had exceeded the 32, then they would have postponed racing for the day until the next one.
Really?
Yeah, thankfully they haven't had to do that. Yeah, that's because with a high level of humidity and high temperature, it's you know, the athlete's safety is kind of at risk. You know, I think the first day was the same day as the men's triathlon, and all the men at the finish of the triathlon, I think, were collapsing and vomiting and just completely, you know, they were very testing. So, yeah.
Okay, interesting. We've got Frederick saying, what are the chances on Saturday for Kieran in light winds? I mean, you know Kieran well. he's lost a lot of weight. I have heard those rumors coming out from Japan. He's gone into the Olympics as skinny as he could get, pretty much.
Yeah, never seen him that skinny before. He's already a skinny guy, very tall, 6'4", I think. I think that's what it is in feet. But he can hold his own. He definitely can hang with those guys for the medal race. But I think it will give him quite some comfort going in with a buffer if he can. Because some of those smaller guys, Mattia and Matteo, who we saw earlier in the week, they obviously have a speed edge on him. So, he has to sail smarter, but he can hang with him for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting. Well, I think we just covered this as well for the medal race. You're allowed to overload the tracker. Yeah, we'll definitely try and do that. I think that the watch along could be fun. Like I said, I'm going to watch it anyway. I always want someone to talk to. I've got no one here in Portugal who's interested in the Olympic stuff. So Antonio is interested. So we're just going to have our own stream. And if you want to join us, you can do. And it might be just us just chatting a load of stuff.
Well, it might be more of a reaction video than a commentary.
Yeah.
But I feel like,
Yeah, exactly. It could be pretty. It could be
just us yelling over the Zoom call, essentially.
Yeah, I can't promise it won't be unbiased. I can actually promise you it will be biased.
Yeah, you'll definitely know who we're supporting. I might lose some friends over that.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting one. I saw actually some commentary on the BBC for the Winter Olympics, and they had Tim Warwood, who's an old guy, old friend who used to work in a windsurfing shop, and they were commenting on the snowboarding. And I thought it was some of the best commentary I've heard. It was real emotional. They got a friend in there, and she would get a medal if the one girl didn't make it down, in whatever, and she fell, and they almost cheered. Well, they did cheer. They were like, but they weren't cheering because she fell. They were cheering because the Brits had got a medal, and they got the most complaints apparently from people watching. I thought, when I watched it, I was like almost tearing up. It was pretty like, I don't know. I thought it was good. So anyone who's seen that in Britain, maybe you should send me a message, because I thought it was some of the best commentary, and they never did it again. So it was a shame.
Also, there's been a question a few times, most recently from Tess, who's actually from here in Scheveningen in the Netherlands. So shout out. Can you discard the medal race? No, you can't. The whole point is it's important. It counts for double. You can't discard it. So important race to do well.
Yeah. Just in Gus saying that. The watch along will be tricky, because we've basically got to play it on whatever thing you're watching it on. We're watching on Eurosport. You can pay $6.99 for a monthly subscription and then cancel it. So you're only paying $6.99. So me and Antonio have subscribed to that. So the idea is we'll watch that, and then we will do the stream and how it is. So you will have to watch it somehow on whatever you're watching on. But I would imagine the medal race should be televised on every country, should it?
Yeah, so each of the broadcasters in each country will have their own deal with the International Olympic Committee, but I would say that all of the finals for all of the sailing classes will be broadcast on the national broadcasters, most likely. But Eurosport also will show them all. So I think what we can do, Ben, is if on your screen you show the tracking, and then if you've got another screen, you can watch it separately, and I'll watch it separately. Yeah. And hopefully we can get those to sync up within a few seconds.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the tricky thing, because there will be maybe a few people who don't watch it live. So then I know on Eurosport you can go back. It's kind of on demand. It's just on a website. You go in and you just pick sailing, and then you can play it back. So you will be able to stream it in. We'll do our best on this watch along when we do it to like work out a starting point, so you can, work out. Well, that's the start probably is a good point.
Well, at the start is a good point, yeah. And there's no way in hell I'm not watching that live. So
no, exactly. Me too.
Yeah. Revolt says he'd be happy to have us commentating, except that we'll be cheering for the Brits and he or she will be cheering for the French. Well, I'm half French, so I will also partly be cheering for the French. So no worries there.
Yeah. So we've got a few comments coming in. What we got here? Are there any limits to? We covered this one away, have we?
Yeah, we just. Did you want to look at any of those photos from the day?
Yeah.
Or is that premature?
Just add them in.
Look at me being the official timekeeper on your podcast. I mean, TV show, whatever it is.
No, that's good. I think it's more a podcast. It's more us just chatting rubbish. We're going for the hardcore audience. If you're tuned into this, you love windsurfing or you love racing. If you're
still listening as well. If you're still listening, you definitely love windsurfing.
I'm going to ask you a question because I see this picture, for example, this right there, if I can stop it.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
Oh, go back. Oh, and this one as well, right? Yeah.
This one's the key.
Yeah. So you'll probably see this quite a lot. You'll see it in foil racing too. You'll see it or you will have seen it in the Formula windsurfing back in the day when that still existed. Holding the uphaul to get further away from the sail, so more leverage and get the body weight further out because it's faster. And that also has a few other kind of positive consequences to it. It means that you set up the sail like very nicely on the deck of the board, so you're closing that gap between the foot of the sail where it says Neil Pride and the yellow of the board that you can see. And it also means that you're keeping your sail very upright. And so you're presenting, if this is the sail, you're presenting more of the sail to the wind, which means you're catching more wind, and essentially you go faster. So that's an oversimplified, under-scienced kind of explanation, but you'll see a lot of people doing that.
It looks uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it does. We tie little knots in the rope there so that it's easier for you to hold on. But you do get sore. You do get sore hands after a while, for sure. And also, like you're a little bit off balance when you're doing it too. So you kind of have to watch out. But it's clearly faster.
Okay.
And if it's not faster, it means you get more height as well. So kind of choose.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe like pointing angle would be better because, and also I guess you've got to feel. Like when your hand's on it and your shoulder, it hasn't got as much feel as if it's there. It kind of almost does its own. It does. And then kind of related to that, you'll see on the side of Shu's sail is the harness line, and it's actually like the single harness line. So we tend to make those ourselves. Whereas on normal windsurfing, you'll have the 2 attachment points. This one only has a single attachment point. And that just gives you really, really good feel in the rig, and means you can do a lot of kind of like shuffling around with the booms in your hands. Whereas when you have the 2 bits quite far apart, it gives you more stability, but kind of less flexibility. So I mean, I do that in wave sailing, and again, like you pretty much nailed it. Then it's you're more sensitive to wind movements and shifts. So, like in wave sailing, you can move the sail around when you kind of get ready for the wave because you're not blocked. And in racing, I guess if you get headed or whatever, and you've got your harness line so wide apart, the rig doesn't move much. Whereas if you've got that pivot, you feel it. Every little bit you will feel. So I guess the sensitivity is definitely more. So when you grab the uphaul or grab the rope like that, what sort of wind? When's the optimum time to do that? Are you doing it in nothing? Are you doing it in wind? Are you doing it?
So I would say the time that it's most useful is from marginal planing. So when you're just on the fin, you're just able to get planing. It gives you that extra power and ability to point that you otherwise wouldn't have. But you do it right up until, as long as you can hold it. Okay. Yeah. So, 20, 23, 22 knots, you're probably still doing it. Then beyond that, you're starting to kind of creep into survival mode where it's better just to have 2 hands on the boom. Yeah. You'll also see people doing it in non-planing conditions.
Okay.
So, it just helps you get further away from the sail, and sometimes you can swing out a bit further, put a bit more, take a bit of weight off your feet.
Board, I was going to say, keep the weight off the board.
Yeah, and then drive through the foot strap. So it's a weird thing. It looks weird, but it works. It works.
Okay, interesting. Okay, couple of questions. A protest in the medal race, that must be a killer. Is there any protest in the medal race? I heard it's direct refereeing because it's only one race. So can there be any protests, or it's like there shouldn't be, but there could be? Or is it how that work?
So this is exactly what you and Dorian were talking about the other day. So you'll make a protest call on the water. The jury will be following you. They'll point I think it's a green or a red flag at you, And in theory, I think in some situations you can, like right after the finish, they might have like some kind of protest resolution like mechanisms. But in theory, it'll just be like on the water judging, like we discussed. So you know, you'll know when you finish.
Yeah, because they don't want, what they don't want is they televise it all and then they announce it and then they go to the protest room and someone gets chucked out and then it changes the whole world. That's what they're trying to get away from.
Yeah, and that's what the medal race was partly brought in to do, was to make it more media friendly and make it more of a spectacle, so that you didn't have protests happening after the last race on the last day and no one really knowing who won, right? And this is all linked to what we were talking about before, about the broadcast rights and the revenue from the media. Like, that is not very spectator or media friendly if they have to go back to the beach for 3 hours and argue in the protest room about who won, So
tell me about it. Okay, here we go. What about this one? What's your predictions of the top three at the end? I mean, we've talked about this before, but me personally, looking now after today in the women, Emma Wilson, I'm going for gold. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. There's a 2 point separating or 3 point separating the top three, but I believe it's going to be the French, Chinese, and the Brit going for those medals. I still think I've got to hang on a minute. What am I doing? They didn't put me out on.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a bit wonky, but anyway, I'm going for the Brits for the win. The Chinese looking good. Lou's looking solid. But Charlene from France, she's already proved she can do it, and she's going to be tough. So I think those are the top three in the women. In the men, it's very hard to go against Kieran Badlow. We know he's got that disqualification hanging over him, but with the forecast for tomorrow and the results I've seen him doing, I believe he's going to get the gold. I think it's going to be very interesting, that medal race, if it's light, and it depends how many points, if he is points ahead going into it. So I think it's better to do these predictions right before the medal race, because a lot can change tomorrow. I think Tom Squires is going to pull up some. Looking at how he was racing today, looking at the breeze forecast for tomorrow, come on, Tom. Come on, son. You've got this. I'd like to see him go up there. And like I say, Italian as well, maybe calmer for that protest on that little tiny bit. Hurt him a bit today. It feels like, I don't know, things just didn't go his way, and you never know.
I did not get a chance to talk to Kieran about it, but on the tracking, it definitely looked like Kieran was covering Mattia in some of those races, and so might have driven him back into the pack a little bit.
Gotcha.
We'll have to have a chat to him. We'll try and get him on.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to ruin his his run at the moment, so I'm sure it might be a bit tricky. But yeah, so we've got a couple more messages we're going to go through. Comments. How many sailors compete in the medal race? It's going to be 10. And that's actually a very interesting one, because, we're talking about medals, we're talking about top threes. You've got to remember, there's people at the Olympics which their goal is to make the medal race. A top 10 to make that medal race is a big, big deal. We were talking about it before, the Norwegian. He is at the moment just outside, the top 10, and that will be his goal. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be such a victory for Andre. I mean, he's stoked on life at the moment anyway, because he's, battling it out at the front in some races, but that would be a super strong finish. I mean, he's been a standout at this regatta, because a few months ago he wasn't even going to the games, and he managed to sneak in by a whisker, and to then be like, in individual races battling it out at the front is pretty special for him, I think.
And he has got a claim to fame now. He is port tack flyer, which anyone who doesn't know, it means it's a star. Twice. Okay. Yeah. So anyone who doesn't know, this is like, once you do that to people, it's like, that's how I'm rolling. But, you've got no right of way on port. So when you've got the whole fleet on starboard tack and you try and squeak out in between and get ahead of the whole fleet, I mean, it's pretty impressive, I think, especially at the Olympics. He's going to have that claim to fame forever.
Yeah.
Is the foil going to be more telegenic?
Well, I think that means media friendly, more attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, if the foil is flying, then absolutely. If the foil is dead in the water or on the beach because there's not enough wind, probably not.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the foil will be interesting. If you haven't watched any of the IQ foil stuff, it is interesting already. They've got long distance race, they've got slalom, they've got a lot going on. It is an interesting format. It's faster, but as we saw on the first day, I don't think that foil would have been flying over there in Japan. But since, you know, we look at the whole week and the conditions they've got, we would have had some excellent racing. So it depends where they go. If they go to a place with zero wind at all, then maybe it's a good thing we're not on the water. I don't know. It's a difficult one, but I don't think it'll be a problem in France, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, actually, during that period, they either have nothing or a lot. So I guess we'll see. We can tune in 3 years to verify that.
Well, we got other races coming to the shore after each race, or they stay on the water. They stay on the water as far as I can see. Depends what course you're on, but most of the time it's 3 back-to-back. Well, watching them, it feels like that because there's not really enough time. So they've all got coach boats, I guess, and stuff like this. Is that how it works?
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's got a coach boat. Actually, except for Andre. Andre's got into this regatta with no coach. It's true because he's had almost no support this entire time. He's been doing it off his own back. So all the other Norwegian, and also you get a kind of an allocated amount of coaches per team. And he qualified very late and he got a place very late. So he had no allocated coach. So all of the coaches from the other sailing disciplines are like taking turns at being out there to give Andre water each day.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, man. And he's from Norway. There's a bit of money in Norway. I'm sure he's going to be all right after this game.
Yeah,
so if he makes the medal race, he'll be sorted.
Another
question from Mario. What time is between races? It's not long. It's like 10 minutes, is it? Something like that? It's not, that doesn't seem much when I was watching it earlier. 10, 15?
15, yeah. It'll be around 15. Yeah.
Depends on the last boat, because obviously when the first guy gets over, it's like when you go mountain biking with your mates, you know, the first up to the top of the hill is always the fittest, and then they get the longest rest. And then when the last guy comes up, who's absolutely knackered, you're like, come on then, right, let's go. You're like, bloody hell, I'm just about got it here. What else have we got? A couple more comments coming through. Absolutely would watch the commentary. Okay. I'm just catching up. Sorry, I'm a bit behind on the comments. It might be shown on Dutch TV. I'm pretty sure the medal race is usually shown on most countries, you know, live broadcasting, because it is the one race they need to show. They don't need to show all the other stuff. It's kind of like they're doing you a favor, it feels like. But the medal race is like the 100-meter final of the sailing stuff. So they do usually put all the medal races on, and the medal race is always on the actual course, which is all got all the cameras and all the drones and everything going around it. So yeah, I shouldn't think it'll be a problem. In Italy, even the freestylers sail with the uphaul. Whoa. I'd like to see a Kulo or a Kono with that thing going on. Apparently Ronnie's still listening. Henry's mom. Okay, so yeah, I think that pretty much it. Like I said, we haven't got any footage. We'd love to have some. We will be doing some more stuff, but as I said, the last day of official racing before the medal race is tomorrow. It's more wind. There's 3 races scheduled. It is super tight in both the men and the women, but especially the women. There's a couple of big players who have all got last places hanging over their heads. And it's like, it is so tightly like, oh, I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. And it will be televised tomorrow. So if you have got a YouTube or you've got the BBC or whatever, tune in tomorrow morning. It should be 7 o'clock Dutch time, Netherlands time, right, UK time. Okay, UK time. So 7 o'clock in the morning, I would get up, have a watch, see what you reckon, because it's going to be windy. So if you're going to watch a race, watch your windy race. Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow to give you a breakdown before that medal race, and then we'll be coming back for the watch along for the medal race. If it all goes well, I don't know. We're going to try it. It's all a bit lastminute.com, but we're doing our best here to bring you some sort of insight into all this Olympic racing. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.